Well, hello, everyone. I feel like throwing confetti up in the air. We are here. Welcome to our Master Mega Mindset, Money Mindset. And I am your host, Roz Henderson. Our vision here is to help entrepreneurs to continuously upgrade their beliefs, emotions, thoughts, and behaviors through research based tools so that they can double their income. I'm talking about you. And all this week, we're going to spend some very valuable time together learning some incredible tools to help us upgrade our limiting money mind beliefs so that we can attract the wealth we deserve. I have a question for you. Did you reach your revenue goals for 2020? What was the gap between your goal and reality? Was it 10,000, $15,000? And how do you account for that? Uh-huh. What about the year before? What about the year 2018? And without doing something different, how likely are you to reach your revenue goals in 2021? Just maybe, just maybe that limiting subconscious uh, money beliefs are driving your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, and it's blocking your ability to attain wealth. Some of these beliefs are decades old and they act like an operating manual to which we respond automatically. So, limiting beliefs can be evident in different spheres. For instance, in our thoughts. Here are a few examples how it inhabits our thoughts. Hmm, who would ever buy my services? Or guilt rises. Maybe I'm charging this client too much. Or maybe you believe deep down in your heart, I'm just another sleazy salesperson. Look, without intervention, eventually these limiting money beliefs is going to trickle into your behavior, and you're going to show up less and less to do money generating activities, which is going to impact your business. You avoid making your sales quota. You lead generation becomes a chore, or you make awful money decisions that actually cost you, or maybe you're involved in impulse spending that result in credit card debt. You're going to sabotage your financial goals. Here's the kicker. Some of these beliefs, some of these beliefs have been operating in our lives for 10, 25, 30 years. How much money have you sacrificed to these beliefs? $20,000, $25,000, $30,000? See, look, the goal in this masterclass is to identify and to uproot these active, limiting money beliefs, which in turn, we're going to build a mega money mindset. So if your goal is to attract your ideal client, to improve your sales abilities, upgrade your limiting thinking so you're growing your money, if you want to charge what your services are worth, then you're in the right spot because we're going to help you with proven tools and strategies that we're going to share in these next few days that if you use them regularly, it can actually grow a mega money mindset, guaranteed. Today, we're going to discuss how to use a cognitive psychology tool to begin the process of change. Tuesday, we're going to talk um, in a very fun way. We're going to have some fun because I'm going to show you a strategy to help you stay motivated on your path to financial wealth. Wednesday, we're going to unravel some of our limiting sales beliefs. Thursday, we're going to have a Q&A, and we're going to share our offers so that we can continue to work together. Now, before I get started, I just want to do a little bit of um, mentioning that I want you to tune in every day to get the maximum impact. I want you to interact as we're doing this presentation because I like the Amen Corner and I like to hear your thoughts. So just type something in the comments on Thursday. Yes, we're going to have a Q&A, but you can already start typing in your questions. We'll gather them all together and we'll answer them on Thursday. Question, do you need a workbook? Do you need a workbook? If you do, I want you to DM Sandra Lorraine. She sent them out, but maybe a few of you still need one. She's our community manager, and she's going to get it to you ASAP. Also, let me mention that it's not too late. It's not too late to contact a like-minded person, a friend who can benefit from this masterclass. So let us know and we'll get you the link. Let us get started. All right, here I go with technology. I think I did it. Yahoo! So here we are. And I want to show you this. This is a very important slide because it is going to show you how these beliefs actually manifest in your money reality. All right, your money reality. Let's start with to the far left top, and hopefully you're following along in your workbook also. You'll notice that, some of us are not charging what we are worth. Some of us are not charging what we are worth. This is the outcome of some of our limiting money beliefs. I have seen many entrepreneurs go without sales for 3, 5, 6 months, and what they do is they cut their prices or they create low ticket items. And I want you to consider just maybe it's about attracting your ideal client who's willing to pay for your product. So I want you to start to think about maybe some limiting or uncovering limiting beliefs that may influence that decision to offer a lower ticket item. Here's a question for you, and you can type your answer, okay, in the comments on a scale from 0 to 10. 0 being no, not at all, and 10 being really, I feel this strongly. How certain are you about the value of the product or service that you offer? How confident are you about it? Answer in the comments. Let's go to the next one. We're talking about beliefs that impose themselves on our money reality. At the top, it says a refusal to learn about money management. Look, I grew up in the 60s. My dad worked, and it was a classic home. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. My dad handled the finances. It appeared to me that he made many of the big money decisions in the house. I am not aware of ever hearing a conversation about money between mom and dad. So what did I conclude? I concluded that women really didn't have a financial mindset, and that men handled this kind of thing. And as a young woman, I remember being one who just thought I didn't have the mindset to handle finances. So I wasn't really pursuing financial education, for instance. Actually, I was kind of reckless with money. And until I woke up and took responsibility for that belief and transformed it, I was underneath the spell of that belief. But eventually, I learned that it doesn't matter whether you're female or whether you're male. Look, anyone can learn to handle finances. All right, let's go to the next one, which is self-sabotage. Self-sabotage can definitely be related to a limiting money mindset. This is an interesting story. With my first client, one of my first clients, she was having a real dry spell, just a real dry spell. She finally landed a well-paying presentation, which was great. But immediately I began to see some unconscious sabotage coming into play. For instance, I noticed as I was coaching her that she began to seriously procrastinate in preparing for her presentation. Her computer died. Okay, I got that. She borrowed another one. And interestingly, on the day of the presentation, she packed her car to get ready to go, and she forgot to pack her computer. Look, it was positioned. This computer was positioned behind the back tire of her car. This is all true. She starts the car, she backed it up, and she crushed the computer. This is sabotage in action. Now, the good news is that it all ended up being okay, but here's the point, is that she had, as we dug into a little deeper into her mindset, she truly believed that, you know what, I don't really deserve good things happening to me. And when she pressed against that very active limiting belief, she triggered this self-sabotage. We had to work very hard on that for there to be a change and a release from that limitation. So self-sabotage as relates to money does happen. We're talking again about the ways in which our limiting money beliefs impact our money reality. Let's go down to the next one. Inconsistently showing up to do money generating activity. Well, we know that in order to stay in business, we have to regularly show up to do money generating activity. But some of us can be so riddled with self-doubt, worry, and shame, fear about our ability to create wealth, or we have limiting money beliefs. We could have such strong feelings that it can result in a sense of helplessness. We may not even be aware that we have a sense of helplessness. But many of you probably have heard of the term learned helplessness. And that's a term coined by positive psychologist, Dr. Martin Seligman. And here's the point. It's when you feel that there's nothing that you can do to change the outcome of a situation, you feel helpless. You feel helpless. And when you feel helpless, you say to yourself, why even try? And again, we know that consistently showing up in our business and doing money producing things is how we stay in business. But if you feel paralyzed by helplessness, you may start and stop. You may seriously procrastinate. And I know even of a few people who have actually thrown throw in the towel in regards to their business. So again, without intervention, we need that intervention. Without intervention, we're going to drive inconsistent behavior, and we're going to refrain from money generating activity. Let's move on to the next one. Using money. Using money as a coping mechanism. How true that can be. I know many people who do. They use money as a way to quiet their stress, to quiet loneliness, or that sense of inferiority. I call it, and you've probably heard of retail therapy, when you're going to the mall and you're going to these stores and you're buying things that you don't need, right? So that's the Steve Madden shoes. You need 2 or 3 pairs of those. You're buying some high-end jewelry. You're buying that flat screen TV, all things that you really don't need, but it gives you a temporary feeling that things are okay. Then you feel better. That as in any addiction, you need more to shift your mood, correct? And with that comes more problems, because now we're racking up credit card debt, and it's going to impact our financial health. So I want to ask you, audience, what is a better way of coping with stress, loneliness, okay, and a sense of maybe inferiority? What's a better, more healthy way? All right. Yeah, absolutely. Uh, Retail therapy is good until the bill comes. Absolutely, absolutely. Don't have a name for this person, but absolutely, I totally agree with you. Let's move on. All right. Ooh, this is a big one too. We're talking again about how limiting money beliefs impacts our money reality. Self-doubt about our capacity to create wealth. Self-doubt about our capacity to create wealth. This is real. Sometimes our giftings and shame are entangled. For instance, maybe somebody grew up, and mom and dad was criticizing a love or an interest that you had. Joe, Joe, you know what? Stop strumming that guitar. You can't make a living off of strumming a guitar. You need to get a 9 to 5, become a banker, do something else. The truth is that if you hear these kind of messages often enough, you're going to internalize these messages. And this belief begins to operate on rotation in your mind. And it's no wonder that when Joe grows up and he pursues music, it's no wonder that he cannot make ends meet. You know why? Because it became a self-fulfilling prophecy. So it becomes important that we untangle these messages that we received from childhood. It's vital for our financial freedom. All right, so let's go to the next one. We're talking about the money reality that many of us are dealing with because of um, limited money beliefs. Here's another one. We're talking about money boundary issues. I love reading about and studying the lives of lottery winners. Lottery winners. Interesting. They're racking in millions of dollars, but many of them go broke. I believe that when you receive that amount of money, all it does is just reveal what's in your heart. It reveals your limiting money beliefs. Things don't change unless we do. So I've read that many of these millionaires, because they have this need for approval, for instance, and because they feel guilt ridden, that they literally have liberally given money to demanding friends and relatives, and they're unable, for instance, to set boundaries with themselves. And so what have they done? They're making status purchases like mansions, lots and lots of cars, gold, and jewelry. That lack of financial discipline, you know what ends up happening is that it becomes a financial mess. Here's a question for you, audience. How well do you feel you're maintaining financial boundaries? How are you doing it? Are you doing it well for yourself, or are you doing it well with others? That's a question I want you to chew on, and you can answer that question in the comments. Let's go to our next one. A breakdown in the sales process. We're entrepreneurs. Again, we have to make the sales. We have to make the sales in order to stay in business. But let me warn you that there can be a breakdown in any stage of the selling process. In any stage of the selling process, we can have limiting money beliefs that keep us stuck. For example, during a sales presentation, you notice that when it comes to handling objections from a prospect, uh, you notice you personalize it. Somehow you feel rejected. Somehow you attach their objection to your self worth. Somehow it feels like an attack on you personally when it is just business. This dance is very painful emotionally. It's emotionally painful, you know, and it can, without intervention, lure you to resist the sales process, to resist goodness. Again, there needs to be some kind of intervention in order to transform those limiting beliefs so you're better able to negotiate and have those conversations. Does anyone relate to that? Are there a few of you out there who feels that there are limiting money beliefs that interfere with some stage of the selling process? Please share. All right. So this pretty much sums up just a few. I'm sure you can come up with many more ways in which limiting money beliefs, and I'm going to say limiting sales beliefs, interfere with your money reality. Let's go to the next slide. All right. Common outdated money beliefs again. To be very honest with you, you can come up with a lot more than I have on this slide. I know that. I just want to touch on a few because it is important that we begin to locate, to identify so we can transform these common outdated money beliefs. They operate subconsciously. We oftentimes adopt these mindsets when we're little, they're forgotten. Nevertheless, they are influencing us. They influence our feelings, our thoughts, our attitude, and our behavior. And this explains why, for instance, why some people are really afraid to take calculated risks to grow their money. Some of these limiting money beliefs really do explain why some people just cling to a 9 to 5 when they really want to pursue being an entrepreneur. And it explains why some of us just throw money away, sabotaging financial wealth. It's all because of our limiting money beliefs in here. So we've got to be able to identify them. Here are some I'm sure that you have heard of. Number one, once poor, always poor. Two, rich people are selfish. Three, there is not enough wealth to go around. Four, I don't deserve wealth because I'm a bad person. Five, I can't handle money. Six, women don't have a knack for finances. Seven, poverty is spiritual. I'll relate to number seven. I grew up Catholic, and as a Catholic student for most of my life, one thing I realized early on, it was holy. It was holy to take the vow of poverty. And I wanted to be spiritual. I wanted to be holy. And so I really swallowed that belief. It took me some years to begin to realize, I'm looking at the nuns, looking at the priests. The priest is in a nice rectory. He's getting educated. He has a car. I'm looking at the nuns, same situation. They're driving around. They take trips. They got a nice little career. They're getting their master and their doctorates. Somebody's funding this. Somebody's funding this. Somebody has money. And once I began to really challenge that belief, then I began to realize that's not necessarily true, that uh, poor folks are the spiritual ones. So again, ladies and gentlemen, it's really, really important that you begin to identify so that you can begin to change and whittle away at these limiting money beliefs and sales beliefs. And this is our goal for this week. Let us move on to our next slide. I'm always happy when I can change a slide without issue. All right. So just for a moment, I'm going to be looking at your comments because I know I did not cover but a few, just a few limiting money beliefs. So I'm going to be looking in the comments. Can you come up with some other ones? Can you go ahead and begin to type in the comments other limiting money beliefs that you've heard that you think you're still under the influence of? I like to read some of them on air. I see someone writing about learning how to accept abundance in their life. I get that, which means that you probably feel, if I were going to turn that into a belief, that maybe you don't deserve abundance, or there's something amiss where you cannot have access to abundance. Um, let's see, looking for some other posts. You need money to make money. Absolutely. That's a limiting belief. That's a good one right there. Anyone else wants to share a couple more before I move on? Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you for sharing. I so appreciate it. Let's move on. Wow. All right. I'm not good at business. I'm not good at math, so I cannot do business. Whoa, that's a big one. That's a big one, especially if you've had some math experiences with teachers who, because I'm a former teacher of 30 years, and I'm of the belief that the right teacher uh, and the teacher who's a really good teacher is able to teach math to any student, whatever it takes. So you probably had an unfortunate experience and came out with that limiting belief. You're not supposed to have too much. Okay, limiting belief. You're not supposed to have too much. How detrimental is that as an adult when life takes money? Wow. Rich people, money doesn't grow on trees. Absolutely. That's a good one. Money doesn't grow on trees. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Let's move on to our next slide. This slide is very, very important. I know that maybe some of what I've been talking about feels like a little bit of a downer, but I'm coming to the good news. So stay with me, ladies and gentlemen. I'm coming to the good news. I'm going to talk about, before I do, I want to give you a little background. Okay, this is called the thinking cycle. And the thinking cycle is really, really important because the limiting beliefs are reflected in our thinking cycle. So let's go through this cycle very quickly. The cycle, you're not aware of it. It's seamless. It operates subconsciously, but these steps that happen subconsciously, they end up influencing your behavior. Here's an example. Let's say I'm an entrepreneur. I need to run a sales call. And as I'm preparing for the sales call, all of a sudden, I'm aware of this self-talk coming strong. And it's springing up really from my belief system. And it's saying, nobody wants to buy your services. Why are you even trying to sell it? Why even try? Maybe you're hearing that. This is not the first time you've heard that self-talk, those thoughts that came to you. You've been struggling with these kind of thoughts for a while. Now, let's take a look at the thinking cycle. Without intervention, this is how thoughts cycle into actual behavior. Because, for instance, as you're thinking this thought, you might be becoming more anxious and fearful. And if you're becoming more anxious and fearful as you're thinking about, oh, I don't want to run this sales call, then guess what? You're going to start secreting hormones such as cortisol or adrenaline. And then that's going to morph and trigger a fight flight or freeze response very easily. And you then become aware. We're down at the bottom where we see awareness. You might become awareness of bodily sensations. Okay. When you're nervous, when you're fearful, maybe I have sweaty palms. Maybe I have a racing heart. Maybe I'm shaking. Okay. You also will begin to feel that resistance grow to making that sales call. And as we chew on the feeling of fear, guess what? All we do is reinforce it. Once that happens, our mind becomes flooded with emotion. And you're suppressing, in turn, the rational brain. And guess what? The emotional brain shows up and it holds you hostage. And you make a decision to cancel the sales call. Again, without without locating those limiting beliefs and transforming them, the cycle will tend to continue and your business will suffer. Your business will suffer. We've got to own up and dig a little, do a little work to uncover those dragging forces, those limiting money beliefs, and transform them. It is a must. Now, here I go. Here's the good news. I promise some good news that you can use immediately. Immediately. Okay. This is something that I share with a lot of clients. In fact, I've used it quite often myself, and it has been tremendous in helping me learn how to discipline my mind and my emotions, my behavior, so that I'm getting the best results from myself. And I can see it as in my business. This ABCC model that you see here, ladies and gentlemen, is a simple proven tool that's taken from the world of cognitive psychology. I call it the ABCC model. That first A stands for adverse, the B stands for beliefs, the first C stands for consequences, the last C stands for counter. Let me share with you how you're going to use this exercise. Let's go back to the salesperson who's hearing that internal voice over and over again. You know, nobody wants to buy what you're selling. Why are you even trying to sell it? Let's go back to that. We're going to superimpose the ABCC exercise over this young man's thinking process. So let's look at the first A, adverse, adverse. Whatever is adverse to you, ladies and gentlemen, is adverse to you. Doesn't matter if Timmy feels differently or if Rosalind doesn't agree. Whatever feels adverse to you is adverse. So I want you to get a piece of paper and pen, or you can do this in your workbook. You're going to write down that adverse situation. In the case of this salesperson, he's going to write succinctly, I hate sales. Ooh, I don't like selling. It makes me feel uncomfortable. He's going to write that down. There's something about writing this down that makes it more concrete, and you can handle and tinker with the thought much better. Write that down. Now you're going to go to the next part of the exercise. We're going to uncover the limiting beliefs that fuel that adverse situation. Look, this is your little notebook. This is your workbook. Be honest. This is how you're going to be able to transform. So maybe for the salesperson, he would write something like, you know what? I just feel incompetent when it comes to sales. I just don't believe that the service that I offer, maybe I'm just insecure about how much I'm selling it for. I don't, you know, whatever you believe about money, yourself, sales, your capacity to build wealth. Write it down. You might have two, three, four, five, six beliefs. That's okay. Write them down. When you are holding on to some of these limiting money beliefs, they're going to have an effect on your life, on your business. So let's go to the first C. Stands for consequences. What are you suffering? What are the consequences of some of your beliefs? Well, for the salesperson, it's this: I'm not reaching my sales quotas. I'm taking a dip financially. I'm not hitting my revenue goals. I'm finding myself getting more and more insecure. The less I make these calls, the more insecure I get. I have even stayed up for a few nights in a row worrying about money. Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to see these consequences crop up in your emotions. You might see these consequences crop up in your body, in your habits. You might see these consequences crop up in different ways. Again, write it down. I want you to feel this. I want this to be concrete for you. Now, let's go to the last C. I'm in love with the last C because now you get to counter your thinking with the truth. You get to counter your thinking with the truth. Fact of the matter is, if you're going to write and the truth down, maybe if I got more training with regards to sell, I could be better at it. Yeah, maybe that's true. Maybe uh, if I could just spend some more time doing these sales calls, I can get better at it. That's true. I can learn I have a friend who's great at sales. Maybe I can partner with her. There you go. Maybe I need to give, maybe I just need to have somebody hold me accountable so that I am making those sales calls and I'm not falling prey to my stinking thinking. That's true. What I love about this last, let's see again, is that I am beginning to allow myself to see options. And when you allow yourself to see options, do you know that that's going to help you grow in a weak area? This exercise is also so important because as you see options, what happens is that the intensity of your negative emotions, that anxiety, that fear, that trepidation is going to wane. Let's say on a scale from 0 to 10, 10 being the most intense. After you do this exercise, as much as you need to do this exercise, you're going to begin to see your anxiety wane. Maybe it was an 8. Now it's a 4. Why is that important? Because remember that when that number goes higher, that our brain becomes um, flooded, flooded with emotion. But as we can lower that intense feelings, now we have access to our thinking brain. We can think more rationally. And this becomes very, very key. All right. I want to share one last example, and then we're going to wrap this up in a quick moment. To be honest with you, I've definitely used this ABCC exercise for a number of years. I remember being an adult early on. I'm a single mother. I have 2 young boys, and I am obsessed. I am obsessed at this time with how am I going to put shoes on them, feed them, and clothe them because I'm a new divorcee. I was losing sleep worrying about money. I even envisioned During my worst times, I envisioned me being on the edge of the freeway with a sign that said, "We'll work for food," with my two little kids beside me. Yeah, I got a big imagination. um, and I remember this. This was really a big deal. Um, and I remember one day the thought came to mind: what does this remind you of, Rosalind? What does this remind you of, Rosalind? And I began to journal. I began to journal because this reminded me of growing up when I was a little girl. There were sometimes, and there were short stints in which I thought, this is Rosalind. This is Rosalind, 10-year-old Rosalind, looking at a situation and judging it. I thought that we had money trouble. Okay. I was not getting everything that I wanted. And, at the time I had a few outfits that I could wear. And I concluded from that, man, my, my family's not going to be able to take care of us. We're in trouble. And I just simply transferred that thinking to myself. I began to work with this ABCC model because I was really suffering. And what I began to do is counter or refute what I saw with the truth. It was the truth that I couldn't even see as a 10-year-old girl, because guess what? I'm a 10-year-old girl. Just seeing the one little incident. I'm not stepping back to see the big picture. But this allowed me to see the big picture. That, yeah, my dad had a number of jobs. And that, yes, there were some stints where we were a little bit strapped. But gosh, we ate, number one. And I didn't realize, because I didn't have the big picture capacity to see, that mom and dad were they were saving money so that they could buy investment property. And they ended up buying not one house, but they ended up buying 3 houses, investment property. That investment property has definitely been a major financial aspect for everyone in our family, but I was unable to see it until I applied this ABCC model. So I am going to suggest that for homework, because of course I'm going to give you homework, but I call homework success work. Okay, here's our homework for today. All right, and you can do this in your workbook. I want you to spend some time identifying 3 money beliefs, and I want you to use the ABC exercise. I want you to actually write in your workbook or in a notebook. I want you to begin to work with those limiting money beliefs. If you need to if you need to journal, that is my way of helping me uncover limiting money beliefs. Please do so. If you want to use this pivotal question that has helped me and my clients over and over again, it's a simple question. What does this remind me of? What does my present state, money state, remind me of? Might take you back to childhood. Might take you back to when you were a teenager or a young adult. Okay, that has been a real great prompt to use to journal and to help me locate some of my limiting money beliefs. And the second question is, how do you think these beliefs show up in attracting, saving, and growing your finances? Spend time with yourself. This is precious time spent with yourself. And as you begin to work with these beliefs, I'm telling you, you're on your way to recover from these beliefs. And as you recover and you're released from these limiting money beliefs, now you're opening the door and giving yourself permission to build wealth. All right. So I do believe that Sandra is going to put up the homework thread, and you can, if you want to, share comments, share some of your revelations under that homework thread. You get the most out of this mastermind class by doing the homework, sharing, having epiphanies. It'll help you to grow. Until next time, tomorrow we're going to we have a fun exercise that is scheduled for tomorrow. Please, want to see you tomorrow. Until next time, peace and blessings, everyone. Bye bye for now.